Hello, this is Jilly Bling, and today I have another project to share using the Cottage Rose product suite. What do you think? Pretty, pretty, pretty. Kind of somewhat monochromatic with pool party. So that is today's project, and one other note is if you have this bundle, you might be wondering, what do you do with this, like I am? And we'll go over this at the end. So hang tight if you too have questions. I might have a few answers. So let's make this project first. And this is a Gotta Have It box, or a Gotta Have It project, where if you buy the bundle from me, you get 5 card kits, and this is the last card kit. 5 card kits, 1 of each, for free, and I will mail them to you. Doesn't include any of the stamping, but that's okay because you have the bundle. Okay, so Versamark Friends Forever, and I'm going to put this in white embossing powder. So this is the final card, the final 5 out of 5, and I love this card. I love Pool Party. I love soft pastel colors with neutrals. So we'll be using, I didn't tell you what dyes we're using. We are using Tasteful Label dyes, which is where this banner comes from. We're using Delicate Edges, which is a new one, and that's for this fancy little edge right here. And then of course Cottage Flowers. So I will die cut this. Okay, and sometimes I get ahead of myself. I'm going to start from the bottom of the card. Just get all these pieces together. Have all of these elements together and then assemble it. Oops. Okay, so what else we have? The words. So these are inside pieces, Pool Party and Basic White. These pieces are for the front, and this one gets the decorative edge, and this is just so pretty. And you know, when you go to put it on here, put it close to the edge, but not too close that it might cut off. But then also look at the pattern. See how these are a bunch of little fans? Maybe get the fans, because I'm looking at this one that has just one little bit left of this flowery looking fan, and that does too. So I'll run this through. And I didn't get it exactly perfect, but that's okay. There's just a little bit of pretty on there. So this gets stuck onto the card base, just plain. Put it right here, center, at the top center. There it is. And this is Smoky Slate, and I'll put all the paper cut sizes on my blog probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to put this on with dimensionals just to create a little interest, little shadow. Dimensionals. Okay, And then the designer paper, which is so pretty. You know what? I wonder if, I bet you those leaves, that's the same exact size. So if you wanted, you could use the die to cut out all these leaves. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I like the softer, more pastels this time, but that's really pretty. That would make the flowers stand out a lot. Okay, so I have that. And this is for these little leaves. Did you notice? There's three of them. 1, 2, and then here's the third one. Just a little added interest. So I'll cut out 3 of these. And I stamped the flower and cut it out. I haven't colored it yet, but I've got it a little bit done in advance. So let's take a minute to color that. So with this one, I did Pool Party Dark, Pool Party Light Color Lifter. In the center I did Crumb Cake, which kind of brings in these little leaves. And the leaves I did in Smoky Slate to match this. And you're like, I don't know any leaves that are Smoky Slate. But this is kind of sticking with the monochromatic theme. So just a little bit of color. And I'm trying to preserve the outside of the petal, the very edge of the petal, and leave it white. That makes it look real soft. Just a little. Most of it is going to be blended out with the Pool Party Light or with the Color Lifter. Usually I like to put on 2 layers of color, but because I'm trying to keep this really light, I'm doing just the 1 layer. Okay, so that's Pool Party Dark. Here's Pool Party Light. And I'm going from what I already colored, and see how I'm leaving a little edge on each of the petals. Kind of makes the petals stand out when they have that white edge. This would be pretty in all kinds of colors. Maybe just whatever color ribbon you have. And if there's an obvious seam between light and dark, just go over it one more pass. Now kind of blend them together. So I can't believe this is the last project in this Gotta Have It box. They're all so pretty. Next is the next Gotta Have It box is, I think it's called Textured Chic, and it kind of reminds me of that bundle that went out like a year ago that had the lounge chair with it, but it had like one of every season, a stamp set and a die. So textured chic. First of all, the paper is beautiful, but it has like a little bit for each season. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm just trying to soften up these lines. For example, on this one, see how the two different blues match, but right here you could see where the pool party light is. And I'm just trying to soften that so you can't obviously see. Well, that's where he stopped with the coloring. Just to soften it up a bit. Okay, and next I have crumb cake. So that is the flower centers. I was going to do yellow, but again, put a few dots in here. I was trying to keep it a bit monochromatic. And then crumb cake light to fill in the rest of it. And this is petal pink light. And I'm just going to do the bottom part of this little baby's breath. Just like a little smile at the bottom of each of them. Okay, and then the leaves. So through the seam and maybe a little bit at the bottom. Oh, and this one has the white petal edge. So I'm going to go right around that. That makes it really stand out. See how nice and bright white that looks? And then the leaf stem. We have the air conditioner running today. It's so hot out there. It's in the 90s. Oop, I went over into the petal. I have to fix that. So, if ever you have a whoops, you know color lifter. Just a little bit. I'll let it dry and I'll come back and I'll do it again. Gotta love that color lifter. I've had some girls that want to get it for everything and anything. They're like, I know, but sometimes I stamp or I catch an edge. I'm like, oh, it only works with the blends. They're wanting to remove ink with it, which is a great idea, but it doesn't work. And if you don't color this perfect, I don't know that anyone would complain. It's just so pretty. And I'm not taking the time to blend the light and the dark here. I'm fine if you see where I colored it dark. Sometimes, like if you were coloring a rose, you'd want the petal to be perfectly blended, but on this, yeah. Almost done. Okay, and then I'm going to check where I use the color lifter on the petal because it's had a minute to dry. I'll go and hit it one more time to make sure it's as cleaned up as it's going to be. Okay, so flower is done. So that's going to go on here. Next we'll go the words. So I'll put a little bit of glue on this side, and then I'll put a dimensional on the other side. So this can go, how about right? It's so just so pretty. How about right there? Okay, and then all this is going to go on with dimensionals. Here. There to cover up the seam. And then I'm going to keep these in toward the middle more than I naturally would, just because I'm going to tuck in those crumb cake leaves. Okay, so I'll get the words parallel with the card. That looks good. Maybe a little high, but that's okay. So these leaves, oh, I didn't do the, hold on, I didn't do the linen thread. Good thing I didn't push that down hard. Okay, so turn it over. So the linen thread is right here. See that? So here's linen thread, and you've probably seen people do this, and a lot of people are intimidated by it, but it's not so bad. So if you take, let me make sure you can see what I'm doing. Right there. And do 2 loops. Then cut it off right here. Okay, see I have a circle with 2 loops. Then take it, twist it, make it a figure 8, and then just stick it on a dimensional. You're like, well, that isn't so bad. But now when you look at it, you could see that these pieces are kind of hiding, but this is a good opportunity just to move things where you want them. So it doesn't have to stay right where you put it at all. I'll leave it just like that. Kind of like these ends sticking out. Okay. Okay, now it's ready to go on. Kind of used up all that dimensional. Okay, and the crumb cake leaves, just a little bit of glue. Just random places. See, that's why I didn't put the dimensionals right to the outside edge. Otherwise, I'd be running into them. Okay, this one is kind of like a diving board. Need to fix that. So, let's see what's going on. It just has the linen thread, not letting the dimensional do its work. Okay, so I know it's still diving boarding. How about there? And let's do a double bow out of pool. See, isn't that pretty? Pool sheer ribbon. You're holding it down so the glue will work. Okay, did the glue start holding? It looks like it did. Okay, so this I'm going to put on with a glue dot, and then I'm going to kind of supplement it with liquid glue. Just because this ribbon in the past is jumped up off of the card, and that's not good. But the glue dot will start holding it right where it needs to go, like right there. Then, before it knows it, it's going to be permanently stuck down. Okay, so we're almost done with the front. We need some iridescent rhinestones. I love those. Isn't that sweet? Okay, iridescent rhinestones. I'm going to do one medium right there and two small. I like how they pick up the pool party color. Okay, so the front is done. So time for the inside. So on the outside it says Friends Forever, which is really nice, but I'm going to leave it empty on the inside, so the recipient or whoever, you could write whatever you want on it. So here's the big flower, the big cottage rose. I'll put that here. Okay, and you're like, are you going to color all that? That's going to take forever. Hold on. There, it's colored. But I do want to put another bunch of leaves going this direction. So, the past videos we did a mask. So let's do another mask. So this is the sticky side up here. And I know I want it coming right out of the side, so I'm just going to do part of the flower. Okay, and I want it coming out from like right about here, so I'm not going to take time to cut out the whole mask. Just right here, and I'm going to cut right on the line of the petal. If you planned on doing a lot of leaves, you'd probably want to cut the whole mask out, but I just want one more bunch of leaves. And this just makes it look like the leaf, the branch of leaves is hiding behind the flower. See how I'm protecting my colored flower? So Memento ink, and right there. Perfect. So the mask could come up, did its job, and just a little bit of color in, then we're done. We've done masks quite a few times with this stamp set. I think I just like that leaf. I don't know that there's blue roses, but it looks pretty. It matches my ribbon. So with these 5 cards, we've used at least a little bit of each of the designer papers. And this next thing I'm going to show you, when I saw that die, I thought, oh, look at that big die, and I know they're expensive and it's going to do something wonderful. Then when I really looked at it, I thought, I don't get it. And I know that there's a reason why all the little petals and leaves are all separate. So I went to look on Pinterest, trying to find somebody that had ideas of what do you do with that big die. And I saw only one idea, and personally I didn't like it. So I came up with something that I hope works. And I'll show you in just a minute. Ran out of tape runner. Handy old glue. Okay. So this project is done. Just like that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so let me show you what I was talking about with that die. So this is the die that I'm talking about. But when you look, for instance, this stem right here, that's separate from the flower. Same with all of them. And all the flowers are separate. But they cut out all of this at one time on your paper, which is very convenient. And this stamp set right here, this stamp, it will cut out those 3 flowers all at once. And this stamp, it's dirty, but it will cut out that flower. So that's good. Because if you don't have the paper, now at least you can use the die. But what are you going to do when you use this die and you cut all that out? What are you going to do with a handful of pieces? And people, they would cut out perhaps on espresso paper so that there'd be a whole bunch of holes in the espresso paper, and they would pop these little elements through. But still, there's these big old gaps. So this is what I did. So that's okay. I just tried to pull up some paper that would make the flower shine. And so what I did was I ran it through on my machine, and on my lovely cutting pad, I had all these pieces. And you can see some of them are still here. And they're all just setting right there in place. And they're all separate. And then I picked them up one at a time and put it somewhat in the same pattern. But I put them closer together so that they weren't all separate elements. And that seemed to work. Then there were a few extra little leaves. I think there's these 3 leaves right here, and I just put them random spots that had an empty hole. But I think that came out okay. So this isn't part of the gotta have it 1 of 5. It's just showing you what you can do with that die and the designer paper. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, take care. Bye.